Hey there, lovelies! Welcome to Mission Impressionable. Today's mission is Melody's Escape, an interesting little rhythm game I came across. Now, for some backstory, I'm a huge fan of rhythm games. I pretty much first got into them when I got to try out the first Guitar Hero, and since then I've played most other Guitar Hero games. I still pull out Rock Band 3 from time to time, and later a friend introduced me to Audio Surf, which was really cool because it could use any song to generate the chorus, and I could use my favorite songs to play a rhythm-style game, and I didn't have to worry about failing if I missed too many blocks because it was all about getting the highest score possible. Melody's Escape is a lot like Audio Surf in that regard. Now, due to the nature of this game, there won't be any game audio because I don't want to deal with the copyright issues that would come with having the music. So, sorry about that. At the end of this episode, I'll see if I can put a song that won't have any copyright issues at the end, and you'll get a better gameplay experience out of that. But for now, let's get to what I thought of the game. So, I'd like to start by saying that this game is still in early access, though it really feels like a complete game, and there are only a couple small things that I could fill using improvement, but I'll get to those later. So, before even getting to gameplay, some things of note. The tutorial is very minimal. It's just a couple of screens explaining gameplay, but it gives you what you need to know. I still think it'd be nice to have some kind of playable tutorial. The game has workshop support as well, and from what I can tell, it's mostly just character customization. And there's some built-in options for your character's clothing and hair, but it's nice to have that workshop option so you can do a little more with it. The game also has controller support, and personally, I prefer the controller to the keyboard for this game. Mostly because, to me, I think rhythm games feel weird with arrow keys, just not natural, but, again, personal preference. And then, when choosing songs, the navigation's pretty nice. It's easy to go through folders and find things, but if you're like me and have a ton of music, it can take a while to find the song you're looking for, and I think the game would benefit from, like, a search function, just type it in and it'll search your, like, computer folders for it, or, like, whatever folder you're in, it'll search for it. And then, last thing I want to talk about is the game doesn't have any default in-game songs. And this is fine, it doesn't really need those, but it would be kind of cool to have something unique to the game. It could also provide a starting point and give the player an idea of what genres work best with the game, and provide them with a chance to get used to the controls. And this actually kind of goes back to my thought that the game could use a playable tutorial. A unique, easier to play song for the game would be a good place to start with that. Alright, so let's get to the gameplay. My first moments with the game were a bit rough. I found that getting the timing for the button presses was a little weird and it took some getting used to. Because your character is like a person and they're basically like what the notes have to get to in order for you to, hit the button. It's not as like clear as say like Rock Band or Guitar Hero where it's just like when this note hits the bottom of the screen, there's a line there and that's where you hit it. So takes some getting used to, and I recommend playing one or two songs just to acclimate yourself to the timing of it. But again, this might just be a personal thing. Like I mentioned earlier with Audio Surf, this game doesn't have a fail mechanic. It's all about getting the highest score. So you don't have to worry too much about messing up. The worst messing up causes is you get a lower score, and you kind of look like a fool as your character trips, falls, and runs into walls, which I find kind of hilarious, honestly. Now, one thing I quickly turned off was controller vibration, because every single note press would cause the controller to vibrate, and this got really uncomfortable really quickly. It made my hands kind of numb. And when I went to turn this off, I found the pause feature. When you pause the game, a countdown timer will show up and give you some moments to prepare before it resumes. This is a feature I always wanted in games like Guitar Hero and Rock Band, but I didn't get that until way later in those series' lifetimes, but if that's not something you like personally, there is an option to turn it off. Now, while we're on that subject, let's get to the notes themselves. You have the floating notes and the directional notes. And the way I kind of named those is floating notes are the round circles that are floating up in the air. Directional notes, usually there'll be an obstacle in front of you and you have to hit a direction. Now, on normal difficulty, they might as well be the same thing. The floating notes have a color and direction on the floating circle based on what button you need to hit, and these same colors and directions also apply to the arrow notes. So for an up note, you hit the top button on your controller, assuming you're using an Xbox controller, this would be Y. Now, when you go up in difficulty, this changes a little bit. The arrow notes get their own color, so all the arrows will be the same, and the main way you'll tell them apart is by the physical obstacle you need to get over. And you can also no longer use the buttons for the arrow notes, you have to use the D-pad or the thumbstick. This is definitely harder to get used to, but it is fun for more of a challenge. And once you get used to it, it's not too bad, but it's like going from medium to hard on Guitar Hero and getting used to using your pinky. It takes a little extra practice. Now, the notes having both a set directional input, be they floating or arrow, as well as being color-coded, is really nice, and one of the reasons I like it the most is because of one trait of the game that I don't like so much. And as you play and go faster, everything around your character gets motion blur. And I do feel this adds to the sense of speed and motion of the game, but I actually hate it. Over time, it starts to hurt my eyes, and playing for long stretches of time becomes uncomfortable because of that. Luckily, it doesn't affect the gameplay because even if you can't tell the direction of a note, the color coding is always clear. I did find later an option to zoom out the camera, and this helped alleviate the effects of the blur, but it still bothers my eyes and keeps me from playing for too long. An option to turn off the blur would be appreciated, but it's not like I'll stop playing the game altogether if that option was never put in. As far as course generation is concerned, I would say it's hit and miss. There are sections where you can tell the exact part of the music it is using, be it the drums, the vocals, the guitar, whatever. But there are also sections where it can be hard to tell what part of the music it's using, and I feel like it's not following the music at all sometimes. This, of course, is a huge issue with a rhythm game, but I'm willing to chalk it up to me not being the best at paying attention to that stuff while trying to play a game at the same time. And as mentioned, it is in early access, so maybe that could be part of it or something. The game does seem to work pretty well with any genre, which is pretty sweet. I did notice that more upbeat and popish songs tend to be the ones that give you the more intense segments and be a bit harder. I did try the obligatory hardest song for most rhythm games, Through the Fire and Flames by Dragon Force. And though fun to play in the game, I actually found it a bit easier than some of the other songs I played. One interesting thing I noticed about the intense segments, though, was the notes seem to become more spaced out during these segments, but due to the increased speed of movement, these segments definitely feel more exciting. The spacing does make me wonder if there's ever like a real big difference in the timing between button presses, and despite my trying, I couldn't seem to find a song that required many different inputs in quick succession, but maybe I just wasn't choosing the right songs. In conclusion, I'd say it's a pretty fun and unique rhythm game. If you're looking for something with a high intensity, like the hardest songs from Guitar Hero or Rock Band, you might not find what you're looking for here. But if you like free runners and games that allow you to play your own music, then this may be just the game you're looking for. Personally, I really like it, and I've gone back to it many times after recording. Now, like I said, I do have one song I played through that I shouldn't have any issues sharing the whole song here, so you can see a full song playthrough and judge for yourself how well the game creates the course based on the music. And that's all for this video. Please let me know what you think. Any feedback is appreciated. If you have any other questions about Melody's Escape, go ahead and comment. I'll respond to the best of my ability. And of course, if you liked this video, why not subscribe or check out Zanschlu Gaming on Facebook. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you next mission.
My darling, you saved me from a fate worse than sight. It's alright, I know you. Yes, I think I do. Someday you will find your silence is still must be human, veins full of frailty, mechanical heart torn apart to make you happy. We can fly, we can have restless eyes in the snow. We are the thieves of knowing. Someday you will find your voice. Silence is still my choice. Tell me of your dreams. You're still alive. These are my favorite things. And it's so hard to believe that you fight for your dreams. It's been so long since you knew love. Do you long for the dawn?